Now, for our next lesson, we're going to look at the rules for naming transition metals. These are the elements belonging to the group D of the periodic table, or the blue highlighted tiles. Again, since this is an ionic bonding, it involves a metal and a non-metal. But because we're dealing with transition metals, we have a different rule for naming. Remember when I told you in the previous lesson that transition elements are capable of making multiple ions because of their orbitals that have varying energy levels? So for this lesson, we will be using this periodic table with the known charges of these ions. Looking closely at this periodic table, you'll see that some metals have multiple charges, like 4 plus and 3 plus, or 3 plus and 2 plus, and so forth and so on. For this lesson, we'll apply the rule using the English name for the metal, and closed in parentheses are the charges, which we will write in Roman numeral. And then we'll get the anion name again using the suffix IDE to replace the last letters of the anion. Let's start with one of these transition metals, iron. Iron, here in the periodic table, is capable of forming two cations, Fe3 plus and Fe2 plus. When bonded with chlorine, here in the periodic table, Cl minus, iron forms FeCl2 and FeCl3. Now, applying the rule, getting the English name plus the charge and close in parentheses in Roman numeral and the anion name, the chemical name for FeCl2 would be iron 2 chloride, and for FeCl3, which uses the 3 plus charge, it would be iron 3 chloride. Let's try more examples. CuO is from copper here in the periodic table that is capable of forming Cu2 plus cation and Cu plus, while oxygen is here in the periodic table that forms O2 minus anion. Choosing between these two copper ions, we can deduce that CuO come from Cu2 plus and O2 minus. Now, again, the chemical formula CuO is reduced to its lowest term. So instead of writing Cu2O2, you just write CuO. The name for CuO that uses Cu2 plus is copper 2 oxide. Another example, AuBr. Au is here in the periodic table. It forms Au3 plus and Au plus, and Br is here in the periodic table, which forms Br minus. Now, between these two cations, Au3 plus and Au plus, we know that Au plus balances Br minus, hence its name would be gold 1 bromide. Okay, now let's try the chemical name this time. For example, cobalt 2 sulfide. Cobalt is here in the periodic table. It gives CO3 plus and CO2 plus as its cations, while sulfide here in the periodic table gives S2 minus. Now, between these two cations, CO2 plus balances 2 minus. So, therefore, the chemical formula is COS. This system of naming transition metals is known as the Stock system, named after the German chemist Alfred Stock, who first published it in 1919. This is now known and accepted as the IUPAC system or IUPAC system of naming